Hi, my name is Brian Trzaskos, and I'm the co-creator of Sensation-Based Motivation Coaching. I'd like to take a moment and share a little bit with you about the Sensation-Based Motivation Coaching process. We call it SBMC for short. Now, SBMC is a unique combination of mindfulness, neuroscience, bioenergetics, and the study of natural laws. On a fundamental level, everything in the universe is energy. And we're not talking about some type of weird, strange energy. We're talking about physics. We're talking about electrons and protons, subatomic particles vibrating. And of course, since everything in the universe is energy, everything is vibrating at different frequencies, which is how we tell it apart. Steel is vibrating at a different frequency than wood, which is why they show up different to us in the visible world. Now, speaking of the visible world, since everything is energy, energy follows a certain set of rules or guidelines. And one of those rules is that energy moves from a non-form into a form and then back into a non-form again. Or in other words, energy moves from the invisible to the visible and back into the invisible again. Energy is always moving in that cycle of creation and breakdown, creation and breakdown. An example of this is water. Now, oxygen and hydrogen are invisible to the naked eye, but when you put them together, they create something visible, which is what we call water. Now, depending on how often oxygen and hydrogen get together, depends on how much water is formed. It can go from a teacup of water to a river to a lake and to an ocean. So energy, everything in the universe is energy, and all energy forms into patterns based on moving from the invisible into the visible. Now, the more often energy moves into patterns, the more structured or rigid those patterns become, which makes them more likely to become more and more and more visible. Now, energy can be anywhere on this spectrum from highly disorganized to highly rigidified or anywhere in between. So it can be disorganized here, it can be rigid here, or it can be loose and malleable somewhere between there in that process. But it's always moving from one process to the next, from the non-form into the form, back into the non-form again. So our physical bodies are also a part of nature, also a part of the universe. So how do patterns, energetic patterns, form in our physical bodies? Well, we like to say that as patterns form in our physical bodies, they always have four components: sensations, thoughts, words, and actions. Now, energy, again, is invisible to the naked eye, but in our physiology, we feel it as our sensations. When we have blood flow changes, we feel that as sensations. When we have muscle tone changes, we feel those as sensations. So these sensations can be anywhere from a butterfly in our stomach to a tightening in our chest to pain in our back. These are all essentially energetic shifts and changes that are occurring in our physiology that we are becoming aware of. Now, think about a fluttering in your stomach for a moment. So when you have a fluttering in our stomach, oftentimes that fluttering in our stomach has a thought correlated along with it. So we have a fluttering in our stomach and we have thoughts associated with that fluttering. Now, we have thoughts associated with that, and then words are generated based on those thoughts. And then when the words are generated, we take actions that are in association with those words. So essentially, our motivations or our reason for taking actions are grounded or rooted in our sensory experience. Hence, sensation-based motivation processes and coaching around that. So we have these four parts. Now think about emotions for a moment. Might help this make it be more understandable. So think about an emotion like anger. So anger, we have sensations in our body that tell us I'm angry, right? We feel the sensations and we label it as being angry. So now we're having thoughts that are associated with the sensations that we're thinking angry thoughts. And then we have words that come out of our mouth that are in association with the angry sensations and angry thoughts. We create words. And then we take actions that are association with the anger. Now who knows what those actions might be? They're different for everybody, but they're all based on these patterns of sensations, thoughts, words, and actions. Emotions, again, for a second, remember, are patterns. Now, patterns are learned experiences. Emotions are also learned experience because emotions are essentially patterns. Researchers used to believe that everyone on the planet had the same type of emotional experience. In other words, that emotions were universal. Now, we now know that that's not true. We know that there are cultures on this planet that don't even experience anger. We also know that there are cultures that have a very high investment in anger. We know that there are cultures that feel sadness more deeply than other cultures do. So we're taught these emotions, and they form patterns of experience in our physiology, which means then we have different motivations, or we create different behavior or action states associated with them. Now, the reason this is important to consider is because every result that we have in our life, think about all the results that you have in your lives, your relationship results, your financial results, your health results, your vocational results, whatever it happens to be, we all have results that we have in our lives. Now, every single result that we have in our life is because of a pattern of experience that we have in our physiology. Sensations, thoughts, words, and then actions, or our motivations when we put that all together. So if we're having an experience in our life that we don't want anymore, that we're unhappy with, that we'd like to change, what we need to understand is that we have to change the pattern that generates that result. Because we're all responsible for the results that we create in our life, and they're all created based on a pattern that we are experiencing, whether we recognize it, realize it, or not. That's how it happens. So with sensation-based motivation coaching, what we help people do is to become aware of, decode, modify, and reframe the physiological patterns that they're experiencing so that they can more easily get a different result in their life. And what we know for ourselves, and we've shown this again and again, is that SBMC processes are one of the fastest and most sustainable ways to have centeredness, resilience, confidence, and sustainable motivation in your life. If this information was interesting to you, please share it with a friend. If you want to reach out, if you have any questions for us, please feel free to contact us at info@sensationbasedmotivationcoaching.com. Thanks so much for spending a couple minutes with us today, and I hope to hear from you soon. Bye.